Welcome to Her Movement podcast, the show where we empower women entrepreneurs to build their own movement and create a bigger impact in the world. I'm your host, Preeti Singh Rajput, and I'm beyond excited to have you join me on this exhilarating journey. In each episode, we dive deep into the inspiring stories of remarkable women entrepreneurs. We'll explore their successes, their struggles, and the pivotal moments that shaped their journey. This podcast is a platform for real and raw conversations. Sharing our stories is empowering and instrumental in inspiring others to step into their greatness. From overcoming challenges to celebrating triumphs, our guests will take you on a transformative journey through their experiences. Join us as we delve into topics such as building a loyal community, creating your own movement with your own experience, growing your business with impact, and so much more. Our guests are trailblazers in their respective niches, and they are ready to share their wisdom, insights, and actionable tips that you can implement in your own business and life. Whether you are just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, Her Movement Podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration, guidance, and real-world strategies that truly work. So grab a cup of coffee, tune in, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Get ready to ignite your passion, elevate your mindset, and build your own movement. Hello, Megan. Welcome to Her Movement podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. Megan is a vitality coach, everyone, and I'm just going to give Megan the floor. And Megan, let us know about what you do and what is your movement that you're building with your business.
Thank you so much. Hello, hello. It's great to be here with you and to be part of this incredible movement that you are starting. And so,
Thank you.
thank you. My movement is helping other purpose-driven entrepreneurs to be holistically healthy and happy so that you can be wildly successful. And
Yeah,
I believe that in order to be truly successful, you do actually need to be
need
healthy.
that. Yeah.
You need that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So my movement is helping people, helping other purpose-driven entrepreneurs, mostly women, coaches, consultants, online course creators, to do a few things, but actually do them all at once. To learn how to think on purpose, to make your mind a powerful tool, to move your body on purpose, to keep it strong and healthy, to breathe on purpose so that you can stay connected and grounded, so
Wow.
that you can show up on purpose as the purposeful powerhouse CEO version of you. And I'm passionate about that because I've been the other version before, what I call the worn out entrepreneur.
Oh,
And maybe
yes.
you can relate to that of feeling
Absolutely. I think I
exhausted.
need your help.
Okay.
So this is the conversation actually that was going on yesterday night, and I was going through your profile and your work and everything, which is so enriching. And I was talking to my husband that, I think I really need her because I feel that I'm neglecting my health, and it's time that I start prioritizing because your content itself is just so inspiring. It motivates people to actually, think about it and start taking action. And I really felt while going through your profile, I really felt like, oh God, whatever Megan is talking about is actually I'm doing, and I'm neglecting my health. And after
Mm.
this podcast, I was like, I'm just gonna, get in touch with her and see what I can do because every morning I just feel like not getting up, and it's just not that energetic, for me. And so that's when, I really want to understand more about you as an entrepreneur, and what is it, Megan, that is your specialty, and what is it that you do, and let this audience also know about what is it that you do in your business and about your entrepreneurial journey as well.
Absolutely. So my entrepreneurial journey really started after I graduated from university. And so what I
Wow.
studied was called gerontology, and that's the study of aging. And after I
Oh,
graduated, much to my parents' confusion, I decided that I didn't want to go work at a retirement home or a nursing home facility. I wanted to move to Hawaii and become a personal trainer and help people stay healthy and happy throughout their lifespan because movement, exercise has been something I've always enjoyed. And so I thought I'll take a more preventative approach to aging and help people
yeah.
stay and healthy through exercise. And so
Yeah.
I did that for 5 years on its own while I was still doing my own yoga practice. And so decided that I wanted to learn how to share the tools of yoga with people. And so did my
Hmm.
first teacher training and realized that the tools of yoga, as well as the tools of exercise, are very complementary, but sometimes each of those has missing pieces, right? In
Oh,
yoga, we don't do as much challenging cardio work to keep your heart
yes.
really healthy, unless you're doing crazy vigorous, hot, super duper hot yoga or something like that. Whereas in exercise and fitness, there is some, depending on the discipline, but there isn't as much of that connection to self and
Right.
postural awareness and connection to your higher self and your source, your God, whatever that word is for you. And
Yeah.
so for me, I thought, why not bring together those two beautiful
Beautiful.
worlds and really give people the tools to create a practice that supports them, mind, body, spirit, all at once? Because
Yes.
as an entrepreneur, you have a lot going on, and so you don't have hours and hours. Maybe you do.
Yeah.
Not everybody does. So
No.
having a practice that weaves together all of those tools, which has been a huge part of my journey, because as somebody who loves what I do, even though I do what I do, I've gotten to that point of being
Yeah.
burnt out, being exhausted, having no boundaries, and like, ready to throw in the towel. And I realized that that wasn't sustainable. And I know that, based on conversations with other community members, my clients, my friends that are entrepreneurs, I wasn't the only one. And you
Yeah.
already told us that,
Yeah.
you're in that boat as well. And so thank you.
Absolutely. It sure is a challenge because you're busy with so many things that you're doing in your business. And then, of course, as women, we have our families also to take care of. And then the moment we get a little time from that, it's the family, it's the children who take the priority. And then there is hardly any time for ourselves. It's just so hard to find out the time. And that's the practical truth, whether we accept it or not. It's hard to balance, it's hard to give time to your health as such.
I agree, but it's so essential, and especially as a personal brand, as a business owner, maybe with team members, all of that has a common denominator, and that's you. And so
Yeah.
it's really easy to keep giving and giving and giving and have a story in our head that, oh, I don't have time for this, or it's selfish for me to take away. But it actually is essential for you to be able to do all the things that you want to do. And especially over the long run, it really does require you being taken care of. And that is, hopefully that's part of my movement as well, is recognizing the value of that, yes, from an ROI perspective, but mainly because you are valuable and you
Right.
deserve time and attention. And so making that a priority and letting go of maybe any of the guilt or the frustration around that, because you know how impactful it is. So that
Yeah.
is also a huge part of what I do.
And how did you, when you realized, Megan, that you were in that fix, how did you make that shift from being that burnout, entrepreneur to finding that balance in your journey?
Well, that really, it was its own journey. And, I recently completed my first book, and I really speak to that in there. It really was, that was the beginning of the journey, was when I got to that point of exhaustion and
Oh,
recognizing that it wasn't sustainable and I didn't want to continue like that, and I wouldn't be able to for much longer. And so I recognized that I had to make a shift and I had to make myself a priority. And so
yeah.
I began to look at the way that I was practicing my yoga and doing my exercise and begin to see it as a more of a nurturing and a nourishing practice than like something I wanted to do and do it really
Yeah,
well
yeah.
and do it really hard and make it work and all of that stuff, because that's part of my personality as well. But really deciding to have a practice that I did just for me and that I did it
Yeah,
first. And
yeah.
that's when I really began to lean into helping other people by first doing it myself, creating a more meaningful morning routine. The way that we
Oh,
start our day impacts the whole day. And so that was the beginning of the journey of creating the Purposeful Powerhouse Practice for myself, weaving together intuitively, right? And especially as women, we have fluctuations in our energy level throughout the month. As
Yep.
entrepreneurs, you may be in launch and you have a million things going on. It's hard to quiet your brain, and so there's going to be variations in that. But having the tools to be able to have a routine or a ritual that you do for yourself that helps you to align to your vision, help you to really connect into your energy and be intentional about your energy and how you're feeling, and really breathe it to life, bring it to life by taking inspired actions, but from that place of your
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's, that frantic billion
Yes.
things to do, and your brain is just all the time. And so it really began by doing the work myself and seeing and feeling the difference that it made.
And you also talk about, Megan, in your work, how to jumpstart your day with massive momentum. And, I really wanted to understand, what do you mean by that? What is this massive momentum, early in the morning? What are the things that you help your clients do in order for them to have that kind of experience?
Yes, exactly. Exactly what I was just speaking to is that it really comes down to those three pillars of the practice of learning to use your mind as a powerful tool, learning to move your body in a way that is supportive and nurturing and intuitively what you need for that day, and really using your breath to connect to yourself and be intentional about how you show up and what you're going to be doing that day
Yeah.
so that you are starting the day from that authentic place of being grounded, being energized, so that you're starting the day and you're jump starting the day rather than just starting the day by grabbing your phone and going to
Yeah.
TikTok and then to Instagram and all the things that can catch your attention if we don't pause and have that powerful time for yourself. And again, for women that have children, that may not be right away, or it may not be that long of a time, and you might end up doing it later, and that's okay. It's really
Yeah.
I'm not strict about when or how you do it because that's not intuitive, but it really in a way that works for you and when it works for you. You don't have to do it at 5 a.m. for it to be, an
Yeah.
effective.
Right.
That we all have our own cycles and we all have our body clock and our time and our energy. Some people wake up and they're ready to go, and other people it
Yeah.
takes time, and other people
Takes
it's
time.
later in the day. And so, I think what we need to look at is the concept, the fact that we're making time, we're committing to it as a habit,
Yeah.
we integrate it into our identity. It doesn't have to be because, Tony Robbins does it this way, or
Yeah.
Brendon Bouchard. Like, they don't make the rules for you.
Yeah, and
They
mostly,
simply are
like, I
giving
have
you.
seen in my case, like, I'm very active from evening to midnight and 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm very active during that time. I'm not that active early in the morning, but I don't know if it has any health effects as such.
Well, I think we could look at it a few ways. If you're waking up when you're not ready to wake up and you're tired, that's going to have potential negative health effects if you're not
Yeah,
getting quality sleep. So there's that. And then also from the beneficial side, if we're, we get past the 5 a.m. club, like it doesn't have to be 5 a.m., but for physiologically, like from the perspective of your body, exercising your body, doing, prayer or meditation or things like that is very powerful for lowering your stress levels. So that's going to have incredible long-term health benefits. And especially as a personal brand and a business owner, that's really important because no one's going to do that for you
yeah,
ever.
right, right.
And so when we exercise and we move our body in the morning, you're oxygenating your body, and including
Yeah,
in that is your brain, right? And so it really
right.
does have positive benefits for boosting your metabolism, helping you to feel a little bit more happy because of its effects on your hormones and your emotional balance. You tend to be more productive, you tend to be more on point and focused, generally a nicer person to be around because your body isn't hurting so bad because it's like crunched over the keyboard all day long and you're aching in pain.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of science behind why this is really powerful
Mm.
beyond the spirituality, and of course there's a lot of elements of the spirituality of it, like connecting to your higher self, your higher power, whatever that means for you. That helps you to start the day from that place of a different part of activity in your brain. So it's activating a different part of your brain so that you are more creative. You're in flow, right? We always hear about in,
Yeah.
but how can life be easier and more fun? doing stuff like this. And it doesn't have to be yoga, it doesn't have to be exercise, just doing something that makes you feel good. That's
Right.
really the key.
And you also talk about self-love and, embodying the woman that we envision for ourselves. What is that? Help me understand that.
Well, that's one of the pillars because so when we have expanded our vision for what we see possible for our business and our goals,
Yeah.
that version of you
Yeah.
has a lot to tell us, has a lot to teach us, right? Because she's already achieved
Hmm.
those goals. And so
Okay.
when we can begin to understand what habits, what ways of thinking, what ways of showing up, what she's doing, what to get to where you want to go, right? To get to your vision, to
All
get to your
right.
goals,
Uh-huh.
then you can begin to embody and activate those qualities now. And that's where the yoga practice comes in. That's where you can begin to be really intentional about, well, she's really confident. Okay,
Okay.
well, how do confident people carry their body? It's very different than somebody who's not confident. She's
All
really,
right.
right? Okay, so what does calm feel like in my body? And so that's where you can begin to practice those ways of being. And this is something that I see as a shift that is happening, and I believe I'm part of this, is that for a long time, people looked at yoga and they thought, and this is what we see on social media, so I don't blame you at all. Like, oh, it's for me to twist into Cirque du Soleil
Yes.
into a pretzel, right? That's what we see. It's really only one tool of an incredible vast ocean of tools. And the true depth of the practice is who you become because of the practice. And that
Okay.
I think is really important for us to know because that version of you that understands that you're doing these things, yes, to get flexible and strong and, do a really mean peacock impression or flamingo or whatever pose you're doing, but really, ultimately, it is to practice self awareness and
Yeah.
self acceptance, which then ultimately becomes self love. And we hear a lot about self love, but we don't hear a lot about what to do and how to
Yeah.
achieve that. So it
Yeah.
really is becoming a witness to yourself and the beautiful things that make you you so that you can begin to be aware of them, accept them, make shifts for the ones that you want to shift, but the ones that are just you, learning to be patient and learning to be compassionate and learning to be kind with ourselves is a huge, 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 huge part of this journey. And I will
Yeah.
admit it's one I'm still working on. But that's what takes us to that place of self-acceptance and self-love.
And it's so important, especially for women who are trying to build their businesses. There are just so many things they are juggling with every day. There is hardly any time where we sit down and acknowledge what we have accomplished, what we have done so far.
Mhm.
And I think with a practice like yoga, I never really thought about yoga in that way as such, but it's so beautiful if we can shift our thinking around it and start thinking about it not just as an exercise. It's more about how during that time we can truly envision ourselves the way we want to become in the process of becoming that woman. And then when we get up, just carry that woman inside throughout the day.
Mhm.
Wow, this is beautiful. I never really thought about it this way.
Mm. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's
Yeah, I
that's
think
really
it's an
beautiful.
important shift.
And
Mm.
Megan, there is one more thing that I heard you talk about, and I would love if you can share that with my audience. What is this, the power pause concept that you talk about? And I really want to specifically talk about this in this podcast because we just forget to do that. There is just so much on our plate. There are just so many things we are doing, and we don't just pause. But now it's not just about taking out the time and pausing, it's more about how to do it in a way that's powerful, meaningful, and effective for us.
Absolutely. That is what it's about. And that's the essence of the power pause. And it really comes from that tendency for us to be in that go, 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 go,
Yeah,
go mode from the moment we wake up to the moment that we, crash to the pillow. And part of that tool set is having that purposeful practice to start the day. But part of the power pause is pressing pause on the busy, on the go, 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 so that you can power down in a sense. Power down. It's like when when your phone is getting weird because you haven't turned it off for a while, and you
Yeah.
turn your phone off and you leave it for a while and then you turn it back on and it's like good as new. That's the essence of the power pause, because you're powering down so that you can come back to your center, come back to feeling grounded, come back to feeling like yourself. In essence, quieting the noisy chatter in your mind and coming back to the wisdom and the guidance of your heart, so that you can truly be that powerful, be that version, show up as that version intentionally, right? So that purposeful powerhouse self, so that you're connected to that you, and then you show up as her. And the analogy that is tends to be really helpful for people is, and I don't know that they have it all the way around the world, so maybe it won't be super clear, but there's a lot of times they do crazy race car driving, like in
Yeah.
certain places in the world, right? Driving really, really fast with these race
Uh-huh.
cars. They're going hundreds of miles and kilometers an hour. And before they start the race, so this is, the first thing in the morning, if you will, they get everything ready. It's all tuned up. They're all aligned. Everything's all fluids, all the things before they start the race. So that's your morning practice. Okay.
Okay.
But then they start the race and they are going crazy, crazy, crazy fast, whipping around these tracks, but they stop. They stop
Okay. Okay.
because change the tires. They do certain things, they tighten things up so that they can
Yes.
keep going, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
they don't do that, if they don't change the tires, they have a blowout. They have all sorts of, like, they lose control of the car, right? So it's a perfect analogy because, yeah, you could probably go, 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 go for weeks on end, but let's be real, that's not going to end well. And I can tell you that
Yeah.
it won't end, because you'll get to the point of being burnt out and exhausted and resentful, and want to throw in the towel and all that stuff. And so that's what the power pause is about, is
Okay.
taking that breath so that you can come back and do it from that place of, I'm doing this for myself, but I'm doing this so I can continue to do all the other stuff too.
And it can
So
be as short for a period like 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a day. Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be long, and if you don't have the 5 minutes, then maybe you should be doing an hour, but you know, but
Yeah.
if you have only a minute, is you can do it while you're standing and washing your hands, while you're washing your
Oh.
hands after you go to the toilet, or like before you go back to your computer, whew, just take a second, take a couple big deep breaths, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise our brain is just telling us, no, 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 you don't have time. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But the
Yeah.
thing is that your brain actually does better when you take little breaks. It helps to recharge the brain, right? So remember when you were
Yeah.
a child at school, they would have recess time where you had to go out, where you had to go move your body, different classes, you'd walk to the different class. There was breaks built in there. But as adults,
Yeah.
and especially as entrepreneurs, nobody's going to make you take those breaks until your body
Yeah.
makes you take a break, or your mind, or your spirit,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
when it's a long road back from that. I promise you, it's not a fun walk either. It's rough. You got to crawl back. It sucks. So if you can skip it, skip it. But that's really the essence of the power pause and why it's so powerful.
Megan, if you have to give three tools to my audience, tools that they can use and make their days really productive and efficient for themselves, where they feel like they're in alignment with themselves, there are three tools that you would like to share with them.
I would say that anytime you go to your workstation or go back to your workstation, whether you're sitting or if you have a standing desk or a setup, I would be really intentional about how you sit down or go back to work. And by
Okay.
that I mean, how are you holding yourself? Because
Okay.
guaranteed, like whenever we pick up a device, it's really not long before we go from up like this to over
Yeah.
like this. And so, and you leave your desk and come back to your desk periodically throughout the day. So this is a way to just build in that little pause. So before you go back and sit down, or before you go back and put your fingers on the keyboard, just take a second and do what's called a power pose, in the
Okay.
sense that you're taking up more space. Like, do you see how I just lifted up and I
Yeah.
got a little bit here and I got a little more open across my chest because I've been sitting in my chair and I'm leaned back. See how my chest is kind of
Yeah.
went.
Yep.
Whereas when I'm sitting up, everything is lifted. There's more of a free flow of energy, right?
Right.
So every time you go back to your desk, before you go back to your computer, just take a second. And if it's safe for you to do so, close your eyes, take a breath. That's taking a little power pause. Part of the reason
Mhm.
we get so tired is because our eyes are tired because they're not used to looking at
Yeah.
something at such close range. So giving your eyes even just that little bit of a rest will be really helpful, especially for people that get headaches or have eye strain or neck and shoulder tension. So
Yeah.
move back into strong posture. That's one. Two, drink more water.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
most of
Like,
us don't drink enough. Like we hear
yes.
this, you've heard it, I'm sure. I'm not the first person who's told you to drink more
Yep.
water, but we generally don't drink enough, especially if you are like me and you
Yeah.
love
We're
tea.
busy.
So drink
Exactly.
more water, and that means you're going to get up out of your desk and away from your desk more often. So it's going to take you back to number one. And then I would say that another one is to really be intentional about connecting to your vision
Okay.
every day, not
Yeah.
quarterly, not monthly, not weekly, every day,
Okay. Okay.
because it keeps it top of mind and top of heart. And it does everything that we've been speaking to about connecting to that version of you, what it's going to make possible for your community, all of those questions that are so powerful. Let yourself be in that. And again, that can be with visualization or meditation or journaling or whatever tools you like to use, or maybe tapping. There's lots of things you can do,
Yeah.
but I would say that it's really, really powerful to keep that at the forefront of your mind, because otherwise we can get really caught up in the hustle and the day to day and the do and the go that we forget why we're doing all of it in the first place, unless we are really intentional with connecting to that.
What is the best practice that you suggest for connecting to our vision? If we have to do that little small practice every day, how would you suggest? Is it in the form of visualization or it's journaling? How do you suggest?
Whatever you enjoy, right? Those are some great starts. And so the question to ask yourself is, where am I going? And so maybe you write out, maybe you have a very specific, it is now December 31st, 2023, and I'm an international best-selling author, and I have
Yeah.
done this, that, and the other thing. And so maybe that's it. Maybe you have a power statement that you go back to every day. Maybe you declare that statement to your mind, because then you're planting the seed to your subconscious mind, and then you sit in the energy of what that's going to feel like.
Yeah.
And so those are really powerful, and that's visualization, and those are used by Olympic athletes. That stuff is very well
Yeah.
documented as very, very impactful and very effective. So the visualization, even just sitting in and what it's going to look like when you've served 100 clients in your community, or you've launched your podcast, or whatever
Yeah.
that is, right? And so those are great, and the visualization, and then that's where you can begin to ask yourself, well, what does she believe about herself? What does
Yeah.
she do to start her day? And so
Mm.
that's what you can begin to practice now. So you're beginning to integrate that. So those are some great ones. Journaling is great. The gratitude practices are amazing. Or as I mentioned, I think it's really helpful for us to declare these statements. I embody trust and yes, energy. I am a confident co-creator with the universe. Whatever your affirmations are, because your mind will tell you anything but that. So it's really up to you to begin to live from that vision and begin to speak that into reality, because whether you're saying the words out loud to your team or you're saying them to yourself, that's really important, because your words really do have a role in what you bring to life, and they help to create your world. And so
Yes.
I'd say that those would be some great places to start to connect to your vision.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's so helpful. These are small things that we can do on a regular basis can probably, make bigger impact over the time. So, is
Mhm.
there anything else that you want to share with my audience, Megan?
I would say that, I'm sure you've heard about this stuff before,
Okay.
and we hear about why self-care is important, and what you should do, and how the 5 a.m. club, all of that stuff, right? We hear about it, but it's one thing to hear about it, and it's another thing to care so much about how you feel that you make it a priority and it becomes who you are. and how you are and how you show up for yourself. And that's really where it becomes a non-negotiable, because otherwise it's very easy for us to say, yeah, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
Do it later.
Yeah. Till it's
But
an emergency.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Until we reach that wall, we hit the wall, or we burn out, or we have an injury, or or we have emotional needs that we haven't been taken care of, and we have a meltdown. Like, it happens, and it happens to
Yeah.
a lot of people. And in fact, you know over 50% of entrepreneurs have or will experience burnout at some point in their career. And so
Yeah, so
that's
it's
not
more
great.
about being precautionary, taking that road rather than, reaching there and then focusing on it.
It
Yeah.
is, and it doesn't, it's really about the consistency that's
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
and doing what feels good, and being okay with what it is that day, right? Just because you say, oh, I'm going to do a half an hour, and then if you all of a sudden you don't have a half an hour, and so you're like, forget it, I'm not going to do anything. If you don't have half an hour, then do 10 minutes. If you don't have
Okay.
10 minutes, do five
Okay.
minutes. If you don't have 5 minutes while you're brushing your teeth, stand there and tell yourself nice things while you look in the mirror. Like, we make
Mm.
it really complicated because we're looking for these complicated systems and strategies. But in that process, we forget why we're doing it. And so I think that's why, I guess that's the thing that I want to speak to as the one thing I want to leave you with, is that when it comes back to making it a habit, if you link it up to your why and to your
Yeah.
vision, you're
Yeah.
more likely to really lean into it because you see the effects that it's
Yeah.
having in
You see the
yourself.
cost of not actually having a good health. And we never really complain about not having time to brush our teeth.
Right.
But we do have excuses for not exercising, for not giving that time to our mental health. It's not something that we haven't heard about, but it's more about having that moment when you truly realize that it's not something to kind of put on a back burner. It's a really important stuff in your life. Like, it's the most important, probably even more important than building a business or having a family or anything, because everything actually starts from having a good health. And if you don't have it, it's like nothing matters. You don't really enjoy anything.
Exactly. And that's why it's the foundation of all of it.
That's awesome, Megan. Thank you so much for opening our eyes. And this conversation, it just felt so easy, as if we are just sitting on the couch and having a regular conversation. Um, but with that aha moment where I just realized that it is simple.
Mhm.
Mostly what happens is that when we have this social media and there's so many videos and people talking about all these things, it just feels like it's so complicated to do all this every day. It's just not
Mhm.
easy, because you have to go to the gym every single day, give 45 minutes, you have to drink protein and this and that. So it just feels so complicated, takes so many supplements, and
Mhm.
it just doesn't feel like something. Brushing is easy, just go to the washroom, do it, and come back. You don't really have to
Mhm.
dress up for that, go to the gym, and things like that. So we can kind of customize it the way we want, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Megan. And anyone from my audience, if they want to work with you, let us know a little bit about your program.
Sure. Yes. So if you go to minimorningroutine.com, there
Okay.
is a free mini morning routine that you can grab there that will
Oh,
help you to create your own purposeful powerhouse practice. So that's a really great place to start. And then that way you have the tools to create one that works for you, to align to your vision so that you feel amazing. And so that's a great place for us to connect. And then we'll be connected by email. And if you have any questions for anything that we shared about here or creating your routine, then definitely reach out to me. And I share lots of great tips and tools in there, as well as on Instagram. So my handle over there is I am Megan Nolan. And so lots of fun tips and tools and dance moves up there. And so
and
those
how
will be.
about your coaching program? You do have a coaching program as well. It's a six month long.
Yes, I have a few ways to work with me. So I do have a self-paced program that you can do online called Wake the Warrior Within. And so that one's a really powerful tool set to begin to revolutionize your self-care game. So that's a self-paced program. And then that leads into the Warrior's Journey, which is a 3 month program, which is a total holistic health tool set. So mind, body, spirit all at once, because you don't have all day. So
Yeah.
that one is really taking a deep dive into creating a practice that supports you and your business. So that one
Okay.
is, I run that one a few times a year.
Oh, awesome. And you're coming up with a book this year. So I'm really, really excited to see how it comes out and, what you do with it. I'm sure it's going to be really, really awesome. And I wish you all the best for your release.
Well, doing the work of you is something that no one else can do for you. And
Oh, yeah.
when you take the time to do that, it benefits everything. And it really is so powerful so that you can show up on purpose and live your purpose. And so everything that we shared really aligns with that. And in order for you to go out and have your ripple effect in the world and create your movement, it is really important that your energy is taken care of and you're showing up from that place of alignment with the vision. And so see how it all feeds back into each other?
Yeah, here comes the truth bomb. I so relate to this right now. Exactly. Thank you so much for making things so simple especially for me, and I'm sure the audience is going to feel the same way. Thank you so
Mm.
much for taking out your time and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be here.
My pleasure.